2 prototypes, and one game I'm actually trying to ship. A month ago, I had never written a single line of game code. This is everything that happened. I had no idea where to start. I knew I wanted to make games, but I didn't know what engine, what language, what to even search for first. At that point, I only knew about 2 game engines, Unity and Unreal. And for 2D projects, Unity was the obvious choice. So I went to Unity, found their own courses, and started with Unity Essentials. Just the basics. Learning the interface, understanding how everything fits together. That took me 5 days alone. My next step was finding tutorials to actually start building something. So I started researching, and that's when I found Brackeys. If you've ever looked up how to learn game dev, you've probably been told to watch Brackeys. He's basically the first name everyone recommends. So I started his 2D platformer playlist and followed along. But by the second video, I noticed something. I was just copying. I wasn't understanding why anything worked. I was just typing what he typed. It was boring. It felt like I was going nowhere. So after one day, I stopped. I closed the tutorials, opened Unity, and just started making a platformer by myself. No guide, no assets. Just me and Google. And that was the beginning of everything. I went in with no plan. Literally none. I just started adding things one by one. Movement, camera, coins, wind condition, and kept going until it felt like something. Then I played it and realized the whole level took under 20 seconds to finish. So I scrapped it and made it bigger. Added moving spike enemies that were supposed to go left and right on platforms. There were problems, of course, and at the time, every bug felt like a real big problem to solve. Just one thing added after another, until I had something that felt like a game. And that was enough, because for the first time, I understood how these things actually connect. Input, physics, UI, game logic. Not because someone explained it to me, because I built it myself. The whole thing took 12 days. 5 days of tutorials, 1 day of Brackeys before I quit, and 6 days of actual building. And honestly, the 6 days alone taught me more than everything before it. Small project, no assets, but I understood every part of it, because I built every part of it. I even published it on itch.io, my first finished thing. Before I get into the next project, there's something you need to know about why I was building any of this. If you're watching this, you probably have something too. A game you've always wanted to make. An idea that's been sitting in your head for a while. Maybe you haven't started because it feels too big or too complicated. I have one of those. A cozy farming game with dungeon crawling, boss fights, and one core mechanic tying everything together. Magic. Not just as a combat system, but as the foundation of everything you do. Every interaction runs through it. I knew I wasn't ready to build that yet, but I need to start understanding the pieces. So that's what the next project was for. The platformer taught me the basics, but the next project had a different purpose. This was my first real step toward the dream game. I need to start understanding the pieces it would eventually need. Combat, enemy behavior, and the mana system. So I built a dungeon crawler prototype. 1 room, 1 slime enemy, just enough to start learning. It took 5 days. It's more complex than the first one. And unlike the platformer, where I just started adding things randomly, this time I sat down and figured out what I actually needed to build before touching the engine. Movement, combat, a mana system, enemy AI, health bars. I knew what the game needed to feel like before I wrote a single line of code. While I was working on Unity Essentials, I was putting in maybe an hour a day. With a dungeon crawler, that jumped to 6 hours minimum, without even trying. And I think that's the thing nobody tells you. You don't need discipline if you actually care about what you're building. The hours just happen. I'd wake up, wash up, and just start working. Unity open, OBS on the side, YouTube in the background. Work until lunch, eat, straight back until at least 6. Most days longer. In the evening, I'd be back at the desk. And even then, hanging out with friends online, I still had the project running in the background. It never felt like a sacrifice. It just became what I do with my time. Not because I disciplined myself into it, because I found something I actually want to spend time on. This was also the project where I opened a sprite for the first time. I had never made any kind of art or drawn anything in my life before this. If anything, my art, I consider, is bad. I just opened it and started. The first attempts were bad, but I made my own pixel art for the player, the slime, the slash animations. Before this, everything was placeholders. But it wasn't all smooth. There were bugs, of course. The slash not going in the right direction, the enemy spawner throwing error codes constantly. Figuring out the attack decision logic was genuinely challenging at that point. But I was googling less than before. Not a lot less, but less. Things were starting to make sense in a way they hadn't a week earlier. And that was enough to know I could keep going. While I was working on the dungeon crawler, I was watching other developers on YouTube, and I kept noticing something. Almost every game developer I watched was using Godot. Not Unity, Godot. So I started researching. And that's when I found out about Unity's pricing changes that pushed a lot of developers away. Most of them landed on Godot. On top of that, it's open source, which means it's completely free and community driven. So I decided to find out for myself. I rebuilt the same prototype in Godot, but with a restriction. Documentation only. No tutorials, no YouTube, just the docs, and whatever I could figure out myself. Before jumping in, I did some groundwork. GD script from zero, learning basic programming concepts like loops, arrays, variables, conditions. Then Godot's own 2D tutorial, then straight into building. The transition was less scary than it sounds, because I could basically copy my Unity code across, just with different syntax. The real challenge was understanding how Godot actually works. Nodes, scenes, and signals. These aren't concepts Unity has in the same way, and wrapping my head around them took time. There were bugs, of course. Infinite blades spawning on my mouse, because I forgot to disable an animation loop. Signals giving me more trouble than anything else, even though I only used them twice. But slowly things started to make sense. And by the end, even though I had spent far less time with Godot than Unity, it already felt better and easier to work with. Combined with everything going on with Unity, yeah, I think I'm staying on Godot. After rebuilding the prototype in Godot, something became clear to me. My dream game needed to wait. Not forever, just until I was ready for it. Because here's the thing. Your first real game is probably not going to be executed the way you imagined it. The code will be messier than you planned, the system's more complicated than you expected, and you will make 100 mistakes you didn't know you could make. I didn't want those mistakes to happen on the game that matters most to me. So I made a decision. Build something smaller first. Something I could actually finish. Something that would teach me the hard lessons without costing me the dream. That's where the pinball game came from. Pinball felt right, not too technically complex, heavy on pixel art which I wanted to improve, and manageable enough that I could actually see a finish line. But pinball alone wouldn't teach me enough. So I decided to add roguelike elements. Rounds, a shop, upgrades, variety. Systems that my dream game will eventually need anyway. The goal is to put it on Steam. I know how that sounds, coming from someone who's 30 days into learning game dev. But that's the point. I'm not trying to make a perfect game. I'm trying to learn every hard lesson. Structure, workflow, balancing, finishing. On this game instead of the one that actually matters to me. So I started building. This was my first physics-based game in Godot, and I had no idea what I was doing. The ball alone took random adjustments in the inspector just to behave properly. The flippers each ended up as two completely separate scenes with two separate scripts doing the exact same thing. I didn't know you could just edit a copied scene directly. The playfield colliders I traced manually because I didn't know about the auto polygon collider. Vertical colliders just for the field. No bumpers yet, just the field. But the core mechanics work. It's a pinball game. Broken places, messy underneath, but it's working. Then I built the systems. A round system, a shop in between rounds, and win and lose screens. Also my first time using arrays. A new concept, work through it slowly. and the pixel art. This is where I noticed I can actually make real assets now, not placeholders. Things I was proud of. The theme came together too. Pinball hell. You're trapped in a room full of pinball machines, and the only way out is to beat them. The shop feels empty and abandoned. The gameplay is bright and chaotic. That contrast is intentional. Then something unexpected happened. A viewer left a comment on my video, not just a quick tip, a full detailed breakdown of how Godot actually works and where my approach was going wrong. Things I had no idea about, things that would have saved me a lot of headaches if I had known earlier. One comment from a viewer I only met because of YouTube changed how I think about building in Godot. So I rebuilt it. The project went from completely unorganized to something that finally made sense. That's what putting your work in public does. Sometimes a single comment from a stranger teaches you more than any tutorial could. Every mistake I make on the pinball game is a mistake I won't make on the dream game. That's exactly the point. 30 days ago, I was basically doing nothing. Gaming most of the day, doom scrolling, watching YouTube. I always dreamed of becoming a programmer, but I never started. I just kept dreaming. I kept telling myself someday I will start. Someday I will figure it out. But I stopped dreaming and just started. And that was everything. Starting the YouTube channel alongside the game dev journey changed everything. The videos forced me to keep building. The building gave me something worth filming. Without both together, I don't think I'd have worked this hard. They push each other forward in a way I didn't expect. And honestly, without the responsibility of having something to show, I think I would have burnt out or just stopped prioritizing it. Now, most of my time goes into learning and building. I can remember the last time I felt this productive. The pinball game is still in progress. The roguelike systems are coming. Steam is the finish line. And after that, the dream game, or just in case another side project until I feel ready. But that's not what the video is really about. This video is for anyone who's been sitting on an idea, a dream, something they kept telling themselves they will start someday. I was that person. Gaming all day, doing nothing. Dreaming of becoming a programmer and never opening a single editor. If I could go back to day one and tell myself one thing, it would be this. Just start. Stop watching videos about game dev. Stop planning the perfect project. Just open the engine and make something terrible. Because the version of me that started a month ago had no idea what he was capable of. And neither do you. Someday should be today. Not next week. Not when you feel ready. Today. And as for me, the pinball game is far from done. The roguelike systems are coming. The game is getting bigger. And I'm just getting started. If you want to see where this goes, subscribe. I will see you in the next one.